Hello well-wishers and welcome to my channel Aspiring Minds. In today's video, we are going to discuss a war poem by Rupert Brooke called Peace. So grab your virtual seats and let's begin. Rupert Brooke was a famous English poet who was known for his idealistic war sonnets and his association with the Georgian poets. Now, whenever we think about war poems, Rupert Brooke is the foremost poet that comes to our mind. He was born in England and he attended Cambridge University, where he became well regarded for his intelligence and his poetic talents. His early death at the age of 27 during World War I added a deep layer to his literary career. Now, the poem Peace was written by him during the early 20th century, a time marked by a lot of trouble in the world, including World War I. This period witnessed rapid social and technological changes. There were political tensions, and eventually it had all led to the Great World War I. Against this backdrop, we have poets like Rupert Brooke who were struggling to find ways of exhibiting patriotism, sacrifice, and they were craving or longing for peace. Before we begin to tell you, the poem is going to revolve around the notion of wanting liberation, freedom from the burdens of a troubled world, and to embrace a peaceful way of life. Rupert Brooke expresses gratitude for being awakened to a higher purpose. He had found a higher purpose in life. He wanted to be free from the constraints of society. He felt that society is not a good place to live in. So the poem suggests that true peace is found beyond the physical realm. If you think you can get the luxuries and you are going to be happy, no, that is not the reality. So even Rupert Brooke felt that, and he was able to find peace by realizing that it lied beyond the earthly existence. That is also reflected in Imagine, one word that he has given as the title of the poem, where he explores the concept of inner and outer peace amidst a world which is full of chaos. So peace in this context signifies reaching a state of harmony, freedom, and gaining spiritual satisfaction. So let us now begin the line by line meaning of the poem. Now God be thanked who has matched us with his hour and caught our youth and wakened us from sleeping. In these lines, the poet expresses gratitude. He is thankful to God for making human beings align with a significant moment in history. The phrase matched us with his hour suggests divine timing, indicating that people are being positioned in the world to fulfill a purpose at this point in time when the poem is written. The use of the phrase wakened us from sleeping symbolizes a spiritual awakening, a realization, a call to action among human beings, emphasizing a newfound awareness and renewed energy which has been infused into human beings by a higher power, that is God, with hand made sure, clear eye, and sharpened power to turn as swimmers into cleanness leaping. So he describes the qualities which have been instilled in individuals by the divine hand or by God, because it is through these qualities that the human beings will now be able to confront the challenges with confidence and clarity. The use of the phrase handmade sure conveys a sense of divine guidance, while clear eyes suggest clarity. The metaphor of swimmers into cleanness leaping evokes a sense of purification, renewal, because individuals have now gained a new direction. They are going to be guided by moral certainty, moral clarity, and because they have divine blessing upon them, their way of looking at life, their purpose in life has been now found out. Glad from a world grown old and cold and weary, leave the sick hearts that honor could not move. So here Rupert Brooke makes a contrast with the prevailing world, which is currently marked by a sense of weariness. People are tired, there is a moral decay, and This is in contrast with the newfound sense of joy, purpose, which has been experienced by those who are following God. The world is depicted as cold, old, and weary, suggesting that there is spiritual stagnation, disillusionment, confusion. People are clueless about what to do, where to go, because naturally, when World War was happening, there was utter chaos. Even you can take the example of the recent pandemic when we were suddenly locked up in our houses. Were we all not clueless? Gradually, the government and people came out and they were able to find ways of coping with it. So, here in this case, the poet has said that the coping mechanism or the coping system is by following the guidance which is being provided by God. The reference to sick hearts that honor could not move highlights moral indifference which was prevalent in society, where honor and virtue held very little value for individuals. They were all consumed by selfish desires, and half men and their dirty songs and dreary and all the little emptiness of love. So Brooke over here critiques how people were very superficial. They were living only on an outer level. Their morality, their judgment of right and wrong, everything was problematized. The individuals led a very unfulfilling, unsatisfied kind of a life. There were shallow desires, meaningless things that they were running behind. The term half men suggests that men in those times, they lacked moral or spiritual clarity. Individuals were not being able to, accept life by doing things which were right. The use of phrases like dirty songs, little emptiness of love further highlights how people lacked any kind of spirituality. They were not even believing or taking the name of God. There was lack of genuine connection and purpose, highlighting how everyone led a very hollow kind of a life. The relationships were hollow. There was no depth and meaning to the relationships. Oh, we who have known shame, we have found release there, where there's no ill, no grief, but sleep has mending, not broken, save this body, lost but breath. So Brooke over here celebrates that sense of liberation, freedom which he is experiencing. Not just him, but all those people who once faced shame, they have now found peace in a realm which was earlier suffering, where there was sorrow. The reference to sleep as a form of healing suggests that there is a peaceful transition being made from earthly existence to a state of eternal rest. So here he is referring to all those soldiers who died, where they were thrown into fighting World War I out of their against their will, and now when they have finally died, they are going to be in a state of eternal rest, where worries about the world are no longer going to be there. The physical body, while it was living, while it was mortal, it was prone to decay, but now there is nothing that can even harm that body. The only thing that has happened is the breath is gone, the person has died, but there is a sense of peace which has been restored. That sometimes we come across people saying that it is better to die. When you see a person who is suffering immensely due to certain kind of an illness, the relatives I've seen, they start praying that take this person away, because perhaps death is going to bring him that sense of peace, because while living he is suffering a lot. So that same thing is being told over here. There I told you through illness. Here it is because of the way in which the soldiers were being tortured, the way the soldiers were having to fight war in very difficult circumstances. So they feel that peace is going to be a better option. Nothing to shake the laughing heart's long peace there, but only agony. Agony means pain, and that has ending, and the worst friend and enemy is but death. So Rupert Brooke over here concludes by affirming the tranquility, the peace of the soul which remains unshaken by the life. Even agony, that is pain, which is being depicted over here, is something which is temporary, ultimately gives way to eternal peace of death. Now, death over here is portrayed as both a friend and an enemy because it represents that ultimate threshold which individuals are going to attain liberation. It is through death that they are going to be free. So it is going to be sad because these people will no longer be able to live on earth, be with their family, but death is also going to provide them a kind of freedom from worldly suffering, where they are going to experience eternal peace and they are going to be able to unite with God. So we can say that Rupert Brooke's piece offers a deep meditation on the quest for finding spiritual fulfillment, liberation amidst living in a world which is in turmoil, in chaos, inviting readers to reflect on the deeper mysteries of life and the way in which a human being should conduct himself. So, to tell you about the major themes of the poem, firstly, it deals with spiritual liberation, that is, becoming spiritually free from the constraints, from the chains of a world where there's utter chaos and confusion, emphasizing that if you believe in God, it is going to provide you with spiritual guidance. Secondly, Brooke suggests that true peace can be found beyond earthly existence, offering individuals a glimpse of eternal satisfaction which is beyond the confines of mortality, which is beyond living on this earth. Thirdly, the poem highlights the possibility of redemption and renewal for those who confront shame and adversity. If you accept the negative effects of life, you are then going to move beyond it and find peace in the promise of a higher spiritual purpose and attain spiritual awakening and realization and be able to perhaps lead a better life. So that's it from this video. I hope you liked it. Do hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for more such future updates. Thank you for watching. Bye.